welcome to Share Truth Apply Scripture. I am Jordan Chambly, and I am joined by Wesley Wildman.
It is amazing how you do that every time. It's the same level of intro. How do you manage
I don't
that?
know. I just open my mouth and words come out.
It is amazing. I'll give you that.
Well, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, and thus we open a very special episode.
Very special.
This is we have, if you're wondering who's laughing, and that does not sound like Cedra, that is John Darnell. He is the CEO of Global Outreach International, and that should give you a hint as to what we are talking about today. So before we get into that, John, just in case people haven't listened to the episodes where you've been on with us, tell our audience who you are.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wesley and Jordan and Cedra as well, for this invitation to share a little about who we are at Global Outreach. We are so thankful to work with you guys again. And for your listeners to be engaged yet again. So I'm John. I was a missionary with Global Outreach International, my wife and I, in Ecuador. We moved to work in Tupelo as a part of the greater organization in 2016. And so now I'm the CEO. You know, a year ago I was the interim CEO.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
And
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
God took care of us. In March, they voted to remove interim tag just in time for the fun of 2020.
Right. There you go.
Exactly.
So consider it pure joy.
Yes.
Consider it pure joy.
Exactly.
But, you know, God has really been good to us this year, and we've been able to focus. And, you know, we want to share and show the love of Christ. We want to see revival around the world. And the way we do that is we have missionaries serving in 48 countries.
Okay.
Wow.
So what a year to have people in 48 countries around the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
And we're going to get into that. We're also going to get into the Orange Letter campaign, but give us a little bit more about your day-to-day responsibilities at Global Outreach. And Global Outreach is a local ministry here in Tupelo, Mississippi, which is why it's been so smooth and it's been so just great to work with when it comes to fulfilling the mission that God's called us to do with the Orange Letter campaign. So a little bit more about your day-to-day.
Yeah, on a day-to-day basis, we're looking to serve and connect the church with the Great Commission at a big level. So for the donor, the normal believer, they're saying, hey, how can I make sure the gospel gets to the ends of the earth? So maybe that's giving to a missionary. Maybe it's a short-term mission team, or maybe they're saying, maybe I'm called to move to another place and share the gospel. So we work alongside the local church to help every believer connect with the Great Commission around the world.
Hey, nice. Very
That's
good.
awesome.
Praise God.
Yeah, and one of the ways you've been doing this with us, allowing us to take part in that journey with you, is by partnering with us in the Orange Letter campaign. And that's a huge privilege for us.
Yeah. And we're going to have a lot of people listening that's familiar with this. You know, every year we have several hundred, sometimes a couple thousand people write in to participate in the Orange Letter campaign. But let's take a step back again and tell our audience what the Orange Letter campaign is and how it began, and then what is it?
Well, it was how many years ago?
5.
Was it about 5 years
About
ago?
5 years
Goodness.
ago.
We started.
This is the 5th year.
This is the 5th year.
I'm a
yes.
technical guy, detail guy.
He's the numbers guy. I'm not. So we started. We wanted to introduce our audience to taking part in the Great Commission. With our help,
yes,
or with our
a
prompting,
tangible way.
Yeah, a tangible way, a hands-on way of doing that. That went beyond
our prayer life or financial giving.
or giving to your church. So the way we did this was by I think at the time we partnered with E3 Partners, and we were able to get about 2,500
give or take,
letters sent to. Oh goodness! What was the first country that
Egypt, the Coptic Christians.
with the Coptic Christians.
Yeah.
So that was really what inspired this whole project was when the Coptic Christians were beheaded on the beach in that horrific video.
It was Libya. I misspoke. It was not Egypt.
Oh right, yeah.
Isn't that right?
I think it was Libya. They're neighbors, but that same time frame.
So that video really spurred us to really want to reach out to specifically the family members of those Christians who were undergoing persecution. And so we did that. We were able to raise a lot of letters, and that spurred us to then want to do this every year. So for a while there, we concentrated on a certain country that was undergoing persecution, religious persecution for Christians. We did countries such as Nigeria, North Korea, which was an interesting year because we could not send physical letters there. We had to broadcast them over some hijacked airwaves. It was very piratey things going on. It was really awesome. And also some other countries that we went to. Was it Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, and
as
then
well?
and
Yeah.
then last
no,
year
Sudan.
and then last year was our first year to partner with Global Outreach.
Yeah.
And that's why
Right.
we're excited to do the same thing this year, because they actually know missionaries across the world personally, and they're
Right,
able to
yeah.
hand deliver those.
Yeah, and so instead of focusing on a very specific country, what we're doing, we're going worldwide now, with the help with global outreach here.
We're not.
Yeah.
You are.
Right. Yeah.
Your letter is.
Yeah, your letter is absolutely. So it is an amazing opportunity to put these letters in the hands of missionaries who can then minister to the Christians around him with the letter that you send. So that's kind of an overview and history of Orange Letter Campaign.
And you can write yours and send it in, and you can send it to orange@afa.net. What are we looking? What's a good amount? 150 words, 250 words, John?
Yeah, absolutely.
Somewhere in that area, because we would love to read your book, but for the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish here, we do need to keep it concise.
Right.
So anywhere between 200, 250 words. If you would type that up and send it to orange@afa.net, we're looking for words of encouragement.
Yes.
We're looking for maybe just a prayer. We're looking for sharing your thoughts and your concerns with them. What would a good that's pretty short. So what would a good letter include,
Yeah.
John?
Well, I would just think about when someone reached out to you and said, "Hey, I'm praying for you today.
Right.
This is what the Lord has on my mind and my heart." You know, occasionally in the midst of really bad days, I think the Holy Spirit prompts believers,
Yeah.
and somebody comes to mind, and you think, "Oh, I need to text Wesley and let him know I'm praying for him."
Yeah.
Right.
Amen.
And so I think in this process, as we open up our mind and our spirit to say, "Lord, what would that be?
Yes.
What can I say to this missionary?" Because God knows,
Yeah.
and the Spirit can and does use us as that come alongside presence. So I would start there. Start with the Spirit's guiding and leading. Think about the last time someone encouraged you. What was that like? What did it feel like?
Sure.
And then let that flow into how you write that letter. But a little bit about, it's always fun to know where someone is from,
Yeah.
who they are,
Yeah.
where they are, and to say, you know, today God has you on my mind and heart, and share. It could be a verse, it could be a psalm, something that you're praying for in that season.
And do this with your family.
Yeah.
Sit down
absolutely.
with if you get our friends. You know, if you're young, you're not married, and you don't have family yet, or you got family but you're not married with kids and stuff. In either circumstances, sit down with a friend or your family, your children, and tell them, hey, look, there's missionaries across the world right now, and we're going to do this together, and allow them to make some comments on there along the way and say, you know. And you can make a couple of spaces down and put, from my 5-year-old daughter, you know, Jesus loves you, or whatever.
Right.
But do this as with your family, because we need to teach our children that there are people, Christians, serve in the different parts of the world, but together we're the body of Christ. I appreciate and I love the local church and everything, and I serve in mine. John does too.
Yeah.
You do too, Jordan. However, I'm reminded regularly that the church is the people and not the particular location or the building.
Yeah.
And this is a good illustration, a tangible way that we can teach our children this as well. So write us a letter, and remember that it's going to a missionary in different parts of the world. And we're uncertain, depending on how many we get, where they'll all go. So just keep that in mind.
Right.
But we have a couple of testimonies of people that we've sent to over the years on our website at engagemagazine.net. You can go read some of those, and then next week we'll have Maurice on, who serves in
absolutely.
India.
Yeah.
And you'll get to hear his testimony. And the reason I mention that is those are you'll get to hear from him the type of, now that will be particularly to India, but the type of people that we're sending letters to, and how you can best minister to them.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, it's very helpful to hear that feedback, and not only like the particulars of what a certain missionary or a certain Christian is going through in a different country or even locally, but to understand the impact that it has on them as well, and that it's not just, you know, when you receive a Christmas card in the mail and you might hang it on your fridge, or if you don't like, you know, you might throw it away. You know, who knows what kind of person you are, but it's not that. This is a lot of times a missionary or a Christian who's in very isolated circumstances. They feel isolated from other Christians particularly, and they might feel surrounded by just darkness, really.
Yeah.
And your letter is that ray of light that breaks through sometimes, and reminds them, hey, you're not alone. You're a part of a family.
Yeah.
And
Christian family.
And you're a brother or sister who's reaching out to another brother or sister. So that's a very helpful thing. I am looking forward to that next episode next week, having Maurice on so that he can talk about these things.
All right, John, so walk us through the process. So we have Fred from Oregon right now that's writing up a 250.
Hey,
Fred. Fred from Oregon writing up a 250 word of encouragement to a missionary in a different part of the world. We're going to receive that, and then we're going to send it and partner with Global Outreach. What are y'all going to do with it?
That's right. One of the great things that happened last year is God was doing this in both of us at the same time, both organizations.
Exactly.
So we were starting with the idea that, at Christmas, it's a shame to think that the people who are taking the message of Christ around the world were alone and without family and encouragement at Christmas. I mean, that seems backwards to me.
Yeah.
Right, and so we are also doing a letter campaign within Global Outreach and asking missionary prayer partners and donors to send letters of encouragement.
Nice.
And so right now, as we speak at Global Outreach, there are hundreds of cards that are ready to be partnered with these letters that are coming from Fred in Oregon.
Nice.
So they're going to go together and be sent around the world.
Amen.
And so we got a video after we did this together last year from a missionary in Haiti. So the Runk family in Haiti, they sent us a video, and they had the combination of cards and letters between the both of us was around 60. So you see this table, you can imagine this table in a dining room in Haiti covered with cards and just grinning ear to ear.
I love it.
They have 2 teenage kids, and the mom and dad saying, thank you, Engage, thank you, Global Outreach.
That's amazing.
For sending this to us and encouraging us at Christmas. And they've been on the field 8 or 9 years. And look, the first Christmas you're on the field, the first holiday season, the first birthday, people think of you. We got fudge our first Christmas.
Yes.
I don't know how they got that through customs, but we got fudge. And then by year 3, you've kind of faded into oblivion in the memory of people. And so what Fred in Oregon can do with the person listening in Colorado or Tupelo is say, this morning in my quiet time, I thought about you. I prayed for you. This is what the Spirit said to me.
Yeah.
And you're being thought of today. And for 50 of those to go together around the world and encourage these people that are taking the gospel out, it really is impactful.
Yeah, and I know we will, our listening audience, but really be sincere and be genuine when you're writing these, because the ripple effect will go for a long time. I know that the times I've gotten a card like this during a difficult time, or a text, in this case, a text or different things like that, I know that I would think about it for weeks at a time. It'd be several weeks later, and I would remember that one time where John was thinking about me and he texted me. You know what I mean? So be sincere, be genuine, and get involved. And this is a tangible way. A couple of times a year, we ask for funds for us to keep doing what we're doing. A couple of times a year, we'll ask you to pray for us in different ways. But this is the tangible difference where we're not asking for money. Sure, we want you to pray over the letter. We're not even asking you to pray. We're asking you to do something, and this is the way that you can do something about it.
Absolutely. And John, you've been a missionary. You and your wife been missionaries together, so you have first-hand experience about what it is to be gone from a familiar surrounding and the church every Sunday with people who speak your language, and you understand one another very well. You have first-hand experience with that. So what can our audience know about what a missionary goes through that could be helpful in writing these letters?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that my wife and I felt, so we left in January of one year and didn't come back until June of the following year. So it was about 18 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And missionaries are often encouraged to do that, to get in the groove and push through those homesickness waves that go through, And so, but we went through holidays, birthdays, Easter, Christmas, every season of the year in a completely different environment. But some of the most meaningful times were either when we received family on the field, where mom and dad came, we got to show them, hey, this is what it's like to live on the coast of Ecuador. My mom and dad, I don't think they liked it very much. They might be listening. Sure. I shouldn't say that. No. They were always very supportive. But so inviting family, that was very impactful. And whenever people, missionaries, I think often, maybe if you're listening, you read a missionary newsletter, you get emails from missionaries or ministry updates. And I think the American life is so busy. I I mean, we even tell people to write their newsletters to be skimmed.
Yeah.
And I'm the CEO of a missions organization, and I skim letters. Okay, I'm just being honest here,
right.
you know. But that's why it's so impactful.
Right.
When somebody actually hits reply
and
says, you know what, I'm praying for the person you're witnessing to. I'm praying for your daughter and the health challenge. I'm doing those things. It's shocking because a lot of times in this high information environment, we're not taking the time for personal connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I love about what you guys are doing to engage with this Orange Letter campaign is you're saying, hey, I know American life is busy.
That's right.
I know it's wild.
Yeah.
You have no idea what it's going to mean to somebody. That you stopped, you prayed for them, you had a personal connection and then you add COVID to it.
Yeah.
So we're already away from family. There's a missionary family in Uganda that they wait all year for their family to come visit. They see their family once a year, max.
Sure.
And that 1 week time is is treasured, and that gives them the fuel for another year on the field.
Sure.
So their family's on the way to the airport in March.
And it's shut down.
And as they're at the airport, the flights are canceled.
Good.
Yeah.
So imagine the family in Uganda hearing that thing they had looked forward to for a year.
Sure.
It's not going to happen. And explaining that to their kids, the isolation they would feel and the lack of connection. So it's already tough as a missionary. You accept that as part of the deal, and you know you're getting yourself into that. You add COVID and isolation and lockdown and distance from family to it. I would say, please
write a letter.
Please write a letter. It really will make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in some of these situations, you might as well be stranded around a desert island. I mean, it's that isolating to, I mean, in some cases, not even be able to leave the place where you live.
Right.
And I mean, God forbid, but if you get sick, who knows what the government measures are in that country that they're living in, and what could happen. I mean, the isolation, I mean, it's there anyway, but has just now been deepened by the pandemic and governments taking appropriate measures or not, you know, depending on the situation.
Yeah, and there was, we mentioned this before, but not to get too far off on it, at the beginning of all this, when there was little history or little data on it, it only made sense to do the most extreme because
just until you knew.
Till you know. But at this point now, what we're seeing is a lot of people in authority are taking advantage of the protocols and things like that, and abuse of power. And so, regardless of the situation, we need to be able to minister to and remember those that are isolated, especially in different parts of the world where it's significantly worse.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a quick story about that'll bring this home and maybe be shocking for the listeners. So Maurice will be on next week, and he and his family aren't in India right now because of this situation. They're stuck on this side of it. His mom is here and stuck on this side of it. But we had another missionary family in Mumbai. So they've been raising money to go to the mission field in training for 4 years. Felt called by the Lord to fulfill this call. Wow. They land in February. Wow. Okay, think about this. You're trying to learn a new culture. You're trying to buy furniture. You're trying to get your house set up. And you're on the, I don't even know what floor, 50th floor of this high-rise apartment building. 900 square foot apartment. 3 kids, 5 and under. Okay,
so you
see this picture? It's already tough.
Sounds terrible.
And we hadn't even added COVID yet.
Yeah.
So he's learning where to buy his groceries.
Yeah.
And then the next week it's different because COVID's changing it. Definitely no Chick-fil-A. And then the next week it's different. Then the next week it's lockdown. And he said, John, we didn't even have furniture yet.
Yeah.
We could not leave our 900 square feet. And to make it worse, they got 25 minutes of sunlight a day. So imagine 5 kids under 5 in a 900 square foot apartment, and they can't leave, and they were in that environment for 100 days.
Yeah.
100 days. And so a lot of times we think of lockdown like in Tupelo, I had to walk around my block, and the weather was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and for these missionaries, when I say lockdown, I don't mean that I didn't get to go to church.
Right.
What I mean is I was in a 900 square foot apartment with 3 kids, 5 and under, and we got 25 minutes of sunlight on the balcony.
Yeah.
You know, that's a different environment.
Yeah,
and
that's radical.
That's the people that you have a chance to reach out and touch.
Point. Yeah,
for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And I do.
We have a deadline though.
Yeah.
This doesn't go forever.
It doesn't.
So,
no.
November 20th. November 20th is our deadline. Get your Sunday school class and your church involved in this as well. This is a good opportunity for you to remember those and to express an appreciation for those that are sacrificing and taking their time to serve in different parts of the world.
Absolutely. So get it in. I do want to have a word of caution here, just because our previous campaigns, there were a few few well-meaning revolutionaries who wrote their letters encouraging Christians to rise up, and that's not.
I was one of them. Okay,
I know. I recognize your.
You recognize my handwriting.
And I understand the sentiment, but that's not that's not the kind of encouragement. We don't want people to, bust out of their, confines if they're there, unfortunately, lawfully. That's not the kind of encouragement we're looking for, but that is a good context to remember while you're writing the letter. So keep it scriptural, I suppose. But yeah, so that was on the list of questions to ask, was how COVID was affecting, and that is something to keep in mind while we're writing these letters. And by the way, you can send the letters to orange@afa.net, or you can go to globaloutreach.org as well.
One thing you mentioned with COVID impacting, I'll put a different twist on it. But imagine that family. So I want you as the listener to understand what that person is feeling or experiencing, because it's about that person, right? Writing the letter is not about me who's writing the letter. It's about the person who's receiving it. And so imagine what that family was thinking and feeling. We've spent 4 years raising money, asking churches to partner, asking people to pray. We're in Mumbai. We have a call to love Mumbai and love our neighbor, and I'm locked in an apartment.
Right. Sure.
I mean, you can imagine asking questions like, "Why, God? I'm here. I volunteer." Jesus said, "Pray for laborers for the harvest. The harvest is plentiful," and I'm in Mumbai, India, being faithful to this call. And I can't leave my apartment and tell anybody about Jesus. This doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, yeah.
And so that's a microcosm of what our greater experience has been, where some are saying, "Hey, I can't even do ministry. It's making me question my call." And we were sitting with a missionary family yesterday that serves in Costa Rica, and they've been on the field for about 20 years. And they said through the ups and the downs of ministry, remembering the call has been what has kept us in it.
Oh, good point.
And so just a reminder, as you're just encourage them in that.
Yeah.
And look, people can be called to the mission field and called off of it. My wife and I have lived that, and we're serving in the Great Commission in a different way. But a lot of times, people are called, but the situation becomes overwhelming.
Right.
And so an encouragement in this moment might mean they're there to share the gospel in 2021.
Mm-hmm. And be creative when you're writing to remind them of how God uses different circumstances and different things. I mean, if God can speak through a donkey, he can accomplish a whole lot if we look around and be creative. So
yeah, and I think too, just over and over again, as we've gone through these campaigns over the years, one of the things that have just struck me and just kind of ministered to my soul as well is just the idea of tangibly doing something, taking an action that is having an effect on a missionary or a Christian overseas, and the idea of where they might be feeling isolated, or I mean, at times even here in our own context, we might feel isolated. This is a way to remind yourself that there is a family here, and this is even more of a family than the parents that you were born to and the brothers and sisters that you may have. This is a family that is kin by the blood of Jesus. And so remembering that and using this as an opportunity to remind yourself of that and remind others around you of that. I mean, if there are Christians that you are around and people who you go to church with, tell them about the Orange Letter Campaign. Tell them about what Global Outreach is doing and how they can be a part of it. Maybe put a group together and send letters this way. But it's a great way to remind ourselves and other Christians that the church is not made of just people who are around us or go to the same buildings or speak the same language. Yeah. They're all around the world.
Amen.
And we have this way now of it's for free. It takes very little effort, really. It should take a lot of prayer, but it takes very little physical effort to send a letter. So I encourage you to do that.
Yeah, so help us to reach as many as we can. I know that we've had as many as 2,500 before, and we hope that we can get as that many or more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So go to so you can send your letter to orange@afa.net, orange@afa.net, or what's the other? GlobalOutreach.org.
GlobalOutreach.
There's a place to do that on there?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Or you can go to globaloutreach.org. We're looking at probably 250 words. We're not going to get on to you if you do more or less, but that's kind of been the sweet spot. So we're looking forward to that. help us get as many as we can. November 20th is the deadline. That helps Global Outreach collect them and sort through them and make sure that they divide them out as evenly as possible.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. So we have a minute and 30 seconds left. John, is there anything that you want to leave our audience with?
Well, I was just thinking about that table with those cards on it, that I walked by at work this morning. And I was thinking about, I really want to make sure every single missionary, all 280 around the world, that they have a letter for them this Christmas.
Amen.
I think about, Dana, who's in Belize, in rural Belize, as a principal of a Mennonite school, which is fascinating to think about, right?
Yeah.
Think about missionaries in Southeast Asia who stayed during the pandemic. I won't be more specific about where they are, but pretty close to where this all started. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And they stuck it out, and people were saying, wow, I can't believe you didn't run, when it got hard. And I think, man, if those people can be encouraged, that you as a believer right now can be a part of the Great Commission and being faithful to the Great Commission through writing a letter to a missionary, I think that's what I would want to leave you with. Please.
Yeah, please make
write
a
a letter.
difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, again, you can send those to orange@afa.net, and we will sort through them. We will put them together and send them to Global to put in the big pile.
And we'll have a whole list of articles and content on engagemagazine.net relating to this topic. And of course, if you go to the search bar and type in Orange Letter Campaign, you'll see some of the testimonies from years past.
Yeah, from previous years.
Where we made a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's a great source of encouragement, and I hope you, as always, continue to share truth and apply Scripture every week, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, guys.